I am excited to show you the walkthrough for my design team project using the collection Gone Fishing. The project I am going to show you, I used the 12 by 12 collection and I used every sheet. And then there was also a companion pack that had solids that I used also. So, excuse me, if you're interested in making this, you'll definitely need a full collection kit along with some other papers because like I said, I had the companion pack. So this is my project. Usually I make very feminine type projects, but I have done a couple male type version or male type themed books, and I actually have been very happy with how they've turned out. So I just sometimes we need to think outside the box and broaden our horizons a little bit. So this album is 6 inches by 9 inches, and the spine, I did one side, this is a trifold, one side was 2.5 and the other one was 2 1/4. So this is what it looks like from the top view, just to kind of give you an idea. So you still have room to add some things. There's plenty, I think the spines were just the right size for this project. Now, as you take a look here, there are just about everything I used is from the collection. However, there's a couple things that I did add from my stash. So I just want to give you a heads up about that. I had these stars in my stash. This fishing, the tackle box, there was a fish, and then there was a bobber that was a sticker collection that I had in my stash. And then this actually came from a store that sold like miniature things for like people who do doll houses and stuff. So that's where that came from. So I did use, I matted it with the corresponding colors packet. And then I have some canoes at the bottom, the stripe at the top, and then just a yellow piece in the center. The sides are the bobbers. Is that what I keep wanting to say bobbin, but that's for sewing. And then the back, just like so. Okay, so let's take a look inside. Okay, so this is the right hand side here, just enough room for a picture, because when you do a trifold you don't want it too thick so that it doesn't lay nice and flat. So I'll start over here on the right hand side. So again, because this will be on top of these pages, I didn't want too much thickness, so I had a wooden frame and I had this anchor that I already had. So I just put those, this was already yellow and everything. I did have a die for the banner, and then I just cut some of the paper to add the decoration at the bottom. And I had twine, I just made a bow and poof, put it in there. On the right hand spine here, just popped up one of the ephemera pieces and put some, this is from the store. She has different colors of this. I use it all the time. And then just one of the ephemera pieces, but this one's flat. This one's popped up on squares. Okay, so let me take a peek to make sure it's able to see this. Oh yeah, okay. So on the left hand side then, this is an accordion pocket, so it holds quite a bit, and it is magnetic. I did a magnetic closure also. Whenever I do a mail book, I don't like to put a ribbon closure, so this just opens, okay? And then this is an accordion pocket, so there's plenty of room. And I just put like the extra cutouts, or the what do you call them? The cut up parts. So I just put all these extra ones in there, and then just a mat, some extra paper, so that if you add pictures, you can add some of those elements. And then I just put a regular mat. I use the craft cardstock from Country Craft Creations. Okay. Now I do have some leftover ephemera that I could actually add something on the top here too. And then I had another one of those anchors, and all these things are from either the sticker collection or from the ephemera packs. Okay, so there's 4 pages in this book. The first one here is closed with a slider mechanism, so these open, and then I had these from my stash, and I left them, I just glued on the outside so I could stick this ephemera inside of here, or you could put a picture in there. And then left these open so you can stick pictures underneath. These come out, up and out. And there's paper on the back too. Okay. And then the bottom does the same thing. It opens this way and opens up the long way too. So you can get a lot of pictures there. And to close it, you just have to make sure that you catch it. Both of the belly bands get put underneath of that closure. There we go. Okay. As you turn the page, all of these are open at the top, so you can go back and add things. I don't have anything in the top, but this one's a double belly band. Just put a little flippity do here in the center and glued that down. And then I just took and made a booklet for comments, pictures, okay, and that just slides behind here. And it would fit more than this also if you have more. I think with males, and when you do, I'm not trying to be sexist or anything, I don't think they would actually take the time to do the pictures. I could be wrong. So I just thought it'd be easy to make things where you can just throw some things in there kind of easy. That's why that front pocket's there. But if you're making it for someone and you put the pictures in, that's awesome too. So just stuck 2 pieces here, so I always leave those open. And then this is a waterfall. So this flips down. It's a magnetic closure. I hope you can see that. And then I did just put white paper and then a 3/8 strip of the pattern paper. Okay, and there's 9 of these, I believe, 9 clips. So that's quite a few pictures you can add here, at least 18 pictures right here. Okay. And then that just closes. Now this is also a belly band. So behind here, I just put a mat. This is from the extra paper, the corresponding colors. But because this is on a separate sheet of paper and attached, it becomes a belly band. So you can add things behind there also. Okay. On the back of page 2 then, we have a pocket that has some cards in it. So when you take those out, you can then flip open these little pieces here. Okay, so there's plenty of room. You can put things inside also, but the reason for putting it on the outside is to keep the flaps from flapping all over the place. Okay, so this was, remember I said the tackle box on the front, this came with it also, and I guess this did too. So this is just a V pocket, so the crisscross pocket, I guess you would say, and then I just raised that above the pocket a little bit. This actually came from the branding, the paper, and I just cut it out. That's the name of the collection. And then I just added some mats. This is a die I had. Okay, and that's open. The pennant is open. On the opposite side then, this is also a belly band, but it's a pocket also. And there's that bobbin I was talking about. And then it acts as a stopper so that it doesn't fall through. The 4th page, have a pocket here and added that twine. So that's just a pocket. This came with the ephemera and I just added that twine and put bows on the end. So this opens to the left and saved room for a picture. This one opens to the right. So these mirror each other. And then I just put these flaps in here. So again, you could just lay pictures in here without having to spend a whole lot of time matting or anything. Okay. So then this just comes over. Now, because this book is 9 inches tall, that's why I use the 12 by 12 on everything. But you can do things like this. If you just get, let's say you just get the 6 by 6, you can, you know, piece things together also. And then on the opposite side, I like to do angled pockets. So I was short on paper, so I cut this and just sliced this off so that that paper doesn't go all the way in. And then I had this boat in my stash. I'm thinking I got this weird looking net type lace from Country Craft Creations, but I don't remember now. I'm not 100% sure. Gone fishing underneath there and glued down a fish, and then just put some of these in here like so. The back middle pocket, so I just made a decoration with some of my scraps and then tucked these inside. And then this is a double pocket, and both of these go all the way to the bottom, so you can put really large items in there, booklets, okay? And then when you close it, you just put the hinge side down first, bring up the right, and like I said, it is a magnetic closure. So the tutorial is going to follow. Have a notebook handy so that you can write down the measurements and listen for the scoring. I probably made this in about two long days. So it's not a hard book. I am so happy with how it turned out. I thought the spines were just the perfect width and everything. So, and I was pumped when I found this. So, all right. So please stay tuned if you're interested, and the tutorial will follow. I have my pattern paper on each of the spines. I did go ahead and glue my hinge in, and when I did that, I kind of pushed these two sides in to make sure that I have about the same amount of space on either side. Now, before I put the pattern paper on here, I do want to make a stacked double pocket. And so, just so you know, I also am edging my paper with ground espresso from, it's a Distress Oxide by Tim Holtz. So the next thing, to make this stacked pocket, you're going to need a sheet that is 7 by 6.5. Now normally I would go a little bit smaller than the 6 inches, but I should have enough room. I'll do a dry fit first, but I'm going to try doing going the full 6 inches across and see how that works. If I have to adjust it, I will. But with the 7 inches across the top, you're going to score at 1/2 on each end. So 1/2 and 6.5, and then you'll turn it so that the 6.5 inches is across the top, and you'll score at 1/2. Now I did notch this, so if you have a envelope punch board, you'll place this in with the 7.5 inches across the top, and you'll have this side go to 3.5, and that's where you'll punch. You'll do the same thing on the piece that's 7 by 3. You'll place it with the 7 inches across the top. You'll go to the 3.5 inch mark and punch. This piece, we only do 2 score marks. You do a 1/2 with the 7 inches across the top, you do a 1/2, and you do 6.5, okay? Now, you're then gonna turn this so that it's on the 3 inch side, and I want you just to put a little tick mark at the 1.5 on that 1/2 inch piece only. Turn it, put a little tick mark at 1.5 just on the 1/2 inch. So see if you can see that better if I kind of hold it up. So for this piece, we are going to cut, get my scissors. We're going to do a slight taper at the top. Okay. Now I'm going to cut across, straight across on that line, as straight as I can get to the score where we made that little 1/2 inch tick mark. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, as straight as I can get it. Okay. Now I'm going to, with this top, I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm going to cut that bottom 1/2 inch off at an angle like so. Okay. Let's do that same thing on the other side. I'm going to take off this bottom rectangle, but I'm going to cut it at an angle. Like so. And then you can burnish those. There's nothing to score at the bottom, just on the side here. Okay, and for the the largest pocket, we'll taper the top. That 1/2 inch gets a little snip. At the bottom where the two lines intersect, you're going to cut off that square, but you're going to cut them off at an angle on both sides. Go ahead and burnish. On the 3 sides. So at this point, I do want to do a dry fit. I want to make sure that I can, if I place this on my book, that I can pull this up without the pocket getting in the way of the spine. And same here, and that works for me. So this is where I'm going to glue it down, and then I'm going to take this piece and just put glue on these little marks, and it's going to slide right down, and it's going to stop at right like so. It'll stop right where we cut. Okay, so let's go ahead and place the large pocket first. Again, you need to do a dry fit to make sure that yours is going to fit in between the 2 spine pieces. Now this is a deep enough pocket. I know that some people place tape on the bottom, but this pocket's deep enough that I don't think I'll have a problem with the mats getting stuck. So I'm going to go ahead and line this up. And again, make sure and that works. And I'll give it a good burnish. Okay, and again, let's just make sure that this fits inside, and it should go down and stop evenly going across. Okay, so just put the glue on the little 1/2 inch tabs. I'll slide this down. Make sure it's lined up. Again, make sure. And then give that a burnish. That way the pocket will go all the way down, both the top one and the bottom one. So you can put some really large mats in there. Okay, and then that's also going to be flat enough that when you have a page on here, you should still have no problem. This will be flat enough that it won't get into the way of the pages. Okay, so I'll probably take the same fish paper, put that down here and up here, and then do a different pattern right here. Okay, so then after this, we're going to move to the actual 4 pages of the book. All right, so it's time to do the pages. You're going to need 4 sheets that are 8.5 by 11. We'll place the 11-inch side across the top of our scoreboard and score it in half at 5.5. So you can see I already have 1 page on my hinge. So again, 8.5 by 11, you need 4 of them. 11 inches across the top, score at 5.5, burnish it, and then we're ready to put them in our book. So I usually put the pages from back to front, and you do not want to put your pages all the way down to the bottom of this hinge piece. You want to leave about a 1/8 inch gap here so that your pages lay flat. And open and close a little bit easier with less of a gap. Now, I also have put this page in so that I can use this as a guide now when I'm lining up this page to put on. So I'm going to be putting this one on here. Again, I want it about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom, and then I want to make sure that it lines up with the bottom of this page in the top. Okay, so what I like to do is to make sure I get it on correctly, I go to the back and I'm going to put glue on the hinge, and I'm not going to go all the way down. I'm leaving that 1/8 inch border. Okay. I'm going to open up my page and I'm going to lay it down so I can see that it's a 1/8. And then I'm going to bring it over to, oopsie, it came off. I didn't have it tight enough. Try that again. Lightly bring it over, make sure it's lined up, and it is, so then I can push it down. So I don't push down real well until I know that it's lined up correctly. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and place the glue on this side of the hinge. Again, don't go all the way to the bottom. And then I'm going to go across the bottom to the score. Now you can close it off at the top if you want and put glue up there. I'm going to leave it open. I liked the option of being able to put things in that pocket. So it lines up nice and neat, top and bottom. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a burnish. And I'll do that one more time. And then we'll build on those pages. Okay. Let's do it one more time. Again, I'm going to work from the back and go forward. I want it to be 1/8 inch from the bottom and line up with these pages that are already attached. So I'm going to turn my hinge over to the other side. Put glue at the top, about the top half. Leaving that 1/8 inch border. I'm going to put this on lightly and not push all the way down. I like to do it this way just to make sure that I am leaving that 1/8. Okay, I'm going to lightly turn it over to see if it lines up. And it does, so I'm going to burnish that. And repeat on the front, on that hinge section, the upper part. And across the bottom. Bring it over. And burnish it. Get rid of any excess glue that squeezes out. And I really give it a good burnish. And I might as well do the last one on camera while I'm at it. Repeat the process. I'm going to do it lightly at first just to make sure that I have it lined up. I'm going to about 1/8 from the bottom. Lightly turn it over. Perfect. Burnish that down. Firm, firm, firm. Alrighty, and then that is our 4th page. And they all lay down nice and neat. And well, there we go, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so let's take a look at what it will look like so far from the top. So we have plenty of room to do some decorating on either side of those pages. And we still can put a little something over here. Fabulous. All right, so now let me take some time and decide. I'm not one of those people who plans out ahead of time, so now I need to decide, okay, what do I want to put on each page as far as flaps and flips and pockets and all that kind of stuff. So, all right, to be continued. All right, let's get started with the front inside cover. Let me just show you what I did. On the back cover, all I did was cover it with paper, and I had a wooden frame that was pre-cut. It's the light, real thin wood, and so I just did that as a frame. I don't want it too thick because when you close it, I don't want it to get in the way. So I left it open at the top so you can stick a picture down in there. And then I just had a anchor here that I thought looked cute, and this is a die. Okay, so that's not in the ephemera kit. All right, so we are going to move to the front page here, and it's going to be an accordion pocket. So let's start with that, and it's going to have a flap. So you'll need a piece that's 8 7/8 by 6 1/2. I hope you can see that. And then a piece that's 5 7/8 by 4 1/2. And the scoring that you're going to do is you're going to place the 8 7/8 inches across the top, and you'll score at 1/2, 1, and 1 1/2. Rotate it once and score it at 1/2, and then rotate it one more time so that the 8 7/8 is across the top, and repeat the 1/2, 1, and 1 1/2. The top, we're going to place the 5 7/8 across the top. Nope, that's a lie. We're going to place the 4 1/2 across the top, score at 1/2. Okay, so I did miter the top of this piece. So I'm going to burnish it now. Where's my favorite burnishing? There it is. And I did round my 2 corners. Okay. With this piece, we're going to cut straight. So there are 3 squares on the bottom where the score marks intersect. You'll see 3 squares. I'm going to cut those out. So I'm going to go straight up and straight over. Like that. And I'll do that on the other side also. Okay. Let's go ahead and burnish our score marks. So there's that bottom half. All right, so when we score this, it's going to be in a thicker pocket, accordion pocket. So the first line here, I'm going to fold back, the second one forward. I'm just going to go back and forth. So let me show you. And I'll do the other side too. So this is the 1 1/2 inch score. So this is going to be how wide it is. But now I want it to be accordion. So then the next one, I'm going to go to the front. The next one will go to the back. So it looks like this. See that? Okay, so this one I went back. So the next one I'm going to go to the front. The next one will be to the back. So that's what it should look like. And then I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to glue the 1/2 inch down, or push the 1/2 inch down and glue, no, I don't want that. No, I gotta do the sides in first. So I'll tuck the sides in and I'll glue that 1/2 inch bottom on top of it. Okay, so for right now, I'm gonna just put a dab of glue to keep it closed, and I'm gonna get some clips ready. So glue there and there. I'm going to bring this up. And I'm going to clip it for right now, just to make sure that it stays. So this will hold quite a bit of stuff. And then what we're going to do is this will be on top, and I am going to use a magnet. So the magnets I'm using are the basic gray. They are from Country Craft Creations also. You could, if you wanted to, put a little notch here. Let's see how much room we have to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the top on first. And when I do this, I'm going to put it, kind of center it so that you see a little bit of a border on this side. And I don't want it to get in the way of closing. So I'm actually going to turn my book upside down. It's easier for me that way. And I'll put glue on the 1/2 inch. Okay. And I'm not going to go all the way to the top. I'm going to go about 1/8 of an inch down so that it lines up with this at the top. And that looks pretty straight there. So burnish it. And then open it up and burnish it too. So now I can flip it back around. And I'm going to glue this piece so that these line up. So I want to go to the bottom here where we put this to cover the spine. I want it to match that down here so that it's, you don't see that. So let's go ahead and put glue on all 3 sides, the 1/2 inch. Okay. I'm going to kind of pinch this in. And before I push down too much, I want to make sure that this lines up. And there we go. So now I'm going to give it a good burnish. And this, you're going through quite a few layers of paper, so really get in there and give her a burnish. Burnish. You can also stick something down on the inside if you want to get the sides. But I think I can give it enough pressure that it'll work. Okay, so now I want to put a magnet on here. Maybe I'll go with 2 small ones instead of 1 big one. I think I might do that. Yeah, I'm gonna use 2 small instead of 1 big. So the ones that I have are just like this, and there's no adhesive on the back. So I'm going to use some score tape and just put it on the back. Slide this off. Oh, that one's broke. Okay. And let me peel this off. Actually, yeah, let me do that next. Can't get the back off. There we go. Okay, I'll do another one. And then we'll place the match on top so that they line up just right. So I'll try and line this up over here, pretty close to where that one is from the top. Okay, so now we're going to place the partner on top. We'll put some tape on that. Okay, so now I have tape on the other one. Push it down real good. Take the backing off, and then we'll close the top so it lines up with the other magnet just right. And then a lot of times I put a thin piece of score tape on top so that the magnets don't shift. So I'll show you. I'm pushing down hard, not hard enough. Where's that tape? There it is. So this one goes up fine. Trying to separate these two. Okay, that was tough. I'm going to take score tape and just put a piece over it so they stay in place. And I'll do the same to the top. I don't want them going anywhere. Okay, so there's that. We'll do the front page next of page 1. So you're going to need 2 pieces that are 5 3/8 by 9. 2 of those. One that's 1 1/2 by 6. One that's 1 1/2 by 5 1/4. And one that's 3 3/4 by 2. Okay, write those down. Let's go ahead and score where we need to score. So on the ones that are 5 3/8 by 9, place the 9 inches across the top. You're going to score at 1/2, and at 4 3/4. 1/2 and 4 3/4. You're going to miter the top on the 1/2 inch, and then go ahead and burnish. Now, when I folded this, the 1/2 inch went back, and the 4 1/4 went, or the 4 3/4 went up. So it's like that. Okay, do that to both pieces. So I scored it a 1/2, and at 4 3/4, I took the 1/2 inch and went back, and the 4 3/4 went up. So what's going to happen is we're going to attach them to our book like so. Are these the same? 4 1/4, 4 1/4. Good. The 1 1/2 by 5 1/4, place the 5 1/4 across the top, score it 1/2 and 3/4, so that we have a little bit of a gusset there. The next one, the 1 1/2 by 6, you're going to do the same thing. Place the 6 inches across the top, score it 1/2 and 3/4. The 3 3/4 by 2, score at 1/2, and at 2 1/8. Okay. So this is what's going to be our closure. We're going to have like a belly band closure. So it's going to look like this, and then this will slide up and down to keep it closed. Okay. So let's go ahead and attach these to the book. Now when you do this, you have to attach the belly band first. So let's get our book, front page. Now we're going to center. I'm going to put the longer piece on the bottom and the shorter piece on the top. Doesn't matter, you can do it either way. But the pages are about 5 1/2, so at 2 3/4 is where we want to place this. We're going to put glue. I'm just eyeballing this. I'm going to put glue just on the 1/2 inch piece. And then I'm going to eyeball it. You can get a ruler. That looks about right to me. And so the next one will be easy to line it up because this one's already down. So glue on the 1/2. I am going to turn my book upside down. And I want to line it up like so. And give it a burnish. If you have any excess glue, wipe it off. Okay, so while I have it upside down, I'm going to go ahead now and take one of the pieces, and we're going to put the 1/2 inch down. Okay. I did miter these just because it's going from end to end on our page. On the belly band, I didn't miter because it's just in the center. All right. So I'm going to lift that up and burnish it. Turn the book around, do the other one, and we'll make sure it's lined up. Okay. Now before I push down too much, I just want to make sure that they're lined up. And it looks like they are. So I'm going to lift this up, burnish it. Okay, turn it. Oh, it's already the right direction. So there is that. Now the 3 3/4 by 2, when we scored it at half and 2 1/8, we're going to glue that together. But before I do, I just want to slide it and make sure that it's about right. Yep, that's going to be perfect. Okay, so I'm going to place glue on the 1/2 inch. And I'll close the other piece down on top of it. And I'll go ahead and slide one side in. Bring it to the top a little bit more. And then bring it down so that it goes through both pieces. And that's how that will stay closed. Okay? So then when you open it, this comes out like so. So you'll get a lot of pictures in there. Nice. All right, here we go. Let's keep working. So turn it over onto the back. Let's do... You'll need 2 pieces that are 1 1/2 by 9 1/2. You'll need a piece that's 10 by 7 1/2. And you'll probably need one more, but I don't know until I look at the ephemera. So give me a second. Let's do this first. So we're going to score the 10 by 7 1/2 with the 10 inches across the top, score at 5. So this is going to be a booklet that sits behind the 2 belly bands. Okay, so that's just like a little booklet that'll tuck beneath. On these, we're going to score at 1/2 on each end, or you can do 1/2 and at 9. 1/2 and at 9 on both of them. Okay. Now, let me look at the ephemera pieces, or the cut aparts. So I kind of want one going the other way, not this direction. Let's see if I can find one. So this one might, no. Well, let's take a look. Let's get going here and we'll see what happens. I don't plan these out ahead of time. That's part of the problem. Okay, so let's burnish the belly bands on the 1/2 inch and the 9. And where is my favorite? There it is. So one will go here. They'll kind of look like overalls. So we're going to glue these 2 down. We want to evenly space them out. And see, this is going to tuck behind. But I also want a card here that we can flap up. So I've got to figure out which cut apart I'm going to use. So, I think I'll do the Flynn's Fly Shop. Let me cut that so that I can get the right measurements for you. Oh, these are all mismatched. Let's see. I have to cut it. Bear with me. Okay. So what's going to happen is we're going to have this here, but I want it to be a flip up. So let's measure this piece of ephemera. So this is 4 1/4. So I'm going to make my paper this is 4 1/8. So I'm going to make my paper 4 1/4 wide. And it's 2 3/4. And I'm going to fold it in half. Let me do something here. Let's see. 2, 4, 5 1/2. And then I need to add a 1/4. Do I want it exactly? Let me hold on. Okay, so what I ended up doing is I took the belly band and I moved it over 1 inch from the end and glued it down, top and bottom. Did the same thing over here, measured over 1 inch. I glued one end, I need to glue the other end. So just on the 1/2 inch. Okay. And I just want to make sure that that's 1 inch also. Yes. All right. Whoops. Okay, so now what I want to do is whatever cut apart that you use, you want to decide if you want a 1/4 inch border, an 1/8 inch border, and then just double that so that you can fold it in half. So this is what I'm going to do, is I'm going to glue this here, and then I'll be able to put the booklet underneath, like so. Okay, so I'm just going to put this in the center. And I'm not going to glue it down yet because I need to put paper on here, pattern paper here first, and then I'll glue this here, okay? And then, like I said, this tucks underneath, like so. Okay, so that will be that page. Now, the front of page 2, I had some paper already cut, so I didn't want to waste it. So I'm going to make a waterfall, but mine's going to be a little bit different in that I have to cover it with pattern paper differently because I had these cut. I had to cut one extra one, and they're 4 1/4 by 4 1/2. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so you're going to cut 9 of them. I had it written down on one of them. 9 of them that are 4 1/4 by 4 1/2. You're going to place the 4 1/2 inches across the top and score it 1/2 on all of them. So 9 pieces that are 4 1/4 by 4 1/2. Place 4 1/2 inches across the top, score it 1/2. Now, when you do a waterfall, you do not miter the ends. However, you're going to notice that mine are, because I already had these and I don't want to waste them. So when I glue these, I'm going to have to use pattern paper to compensate for that little mark. So pretend like mine are just full, half, and that they're not mitered, okay? So 9 of those. You're going to need a 4 1/4 by 7 1/2 inch piece. You're going to place the 7 1/2 inches across the top and score it 1/2. 4 1/4 by 7 1/2. Score it 1/2 on the 7 1/2 inch side. And you're going to need a piece that is 4 1/4 by 9 1/2. You'll place the 9 1/2 inches across the top. You'll score at 1/2 and at 9. Okay, so this is going to be a waterfall that we place in the center, but it's also a belly band. So again, something can be tucked underneath. So let me do some scoring or some burnishing. So this is the 4 1/4 by 9 1/2. We're going to burnish these. Let me get my mat on here. So we're going to place the waterfall on top of this. Then we're going to have this come up over the top, okay? And we'll do a magnetic closure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my paper, my flaps, by pushing it up against my scoreboard and using that as a guide so that everything gets lined up. So I'm going to turn my scoreboard actually so it's easier. And I'm pushing this, the 1/2 pieces are to the back. I'm going to push up, I need to go way up here. So this way, when I put it on, it should line up just right, okay? So let's start with, again, pretend like this is not, you know what, maybe I should do the first one, the normal one. Place glue on your 1/2 inch. Don't miter, even though my next ones are mitered. I don't like to waste paper. Okay, so use your scoreboard as your tool here to line everything up like so. And then open it up and burnish it. And then everything will continue to bump up against that previous 1/2 inch that you glued down, okay? So I'm going to keep that open. I'll put glue on the 1/2 inch. When I'm done with the decorating, you'll never know that these were mitered. That's the goal anyway. All right. Bump it up against the 1/2 inch. Open it up and burnish. And we're going to continue to do that with all the pieces, all 9. So you can fast forward this if you want, or you can just work right along with me here. So you still want to make sure everything's lining up nice and neat. And I'll probably stop at this one and show you the next step so that you don't have to watch me glue all these on here. Okay, so continue to do that with all 9. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take the longer piece that we had, the 4 1/4 by 7 1/2, and we're going to glue that one down here at the bottom so that when this is closed, this will keep the waterfall from flapping open, and we'll have a magnet, and most likely I will have a card here, I cut apart so that it looks finished. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'll glue the bottom one on. And then just like we did the magnets before, I'm going to use one larger magnet instead of the smaller ones. And mine already have adhesive on it, which is so much nicer. Okay. So the magnets, I need a positive and a negative. I'm going to go ahead and take the backing off of one. we have plenty of room to work with. So I don't want to put it, I want to make sure I have enough room to put the pattern paper without the magnet getting in the way. Okay. Take off the backing of the other one. Lay it down flat. Push down. And then I am going to put a little bit of score tape to keep those from flapping or moving. Just a little bit. And then I will remove, of course, the backing before I put my pattern paper on. Okay, now remember this is a belly band. So on our book, on the front of page 2, my desk is getting messy. I'm just gonna center it on here and glue it down. Okay, so that you can put things behind it and you'll have a lot of room for pictures. Okay, so then when I come back, we'll do the back of page 2, 3, and 4. All right, let's wrap up the next couple pages. I'm going to do the back of page 2 and the front of page 3 next. So for the back of page 2, you're going to need 3 pieces that are 2 3/4 by 4. And once you have those cut, put the 4-inch side on the top and score it a half on all 3. You'll also need a pocket that's 2.5 by 9.5. So you're going to do score at half and at 9 on the 9.5-inch side. And then on the 2.5-inch side, score at 1. So that's going to be for the back of page 2. And the only thing you're going to need for the back or the front of page 3 is a 4.5 by 6-inch piece. And as of right now, there's no scoring. We'll get to that in a little bit. So let's go ahead and prepare these pieces. I already did the scoring. So now I'm just going to miter those 1/2-inch sections. And then we can burnish those. Now on the pocket, you cut out the square where the 2 score marks intersect. We cut that at an angle. And we are going to miter the top. Okay, so now we can go ahead and burnish all those pieces. And then when we put this together, whatever you put in this pocket will keep the flaps closed, the 3 flaps that we're going to be putting on the page. I'm anxious to see what this looks like when it's done. Okay, so let's get our book. Let's go ahead and do the pocket first. So we're going to place that pretty close to the bottom of the page. Remember, we lifted the page about 1/8 of an inch from the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and go to the bottom of the page, not to the bottom of the hinge. And let's get glue on here. Okay. And I'm just going to lay this down nice and flat here. Okay, so I went to the bottom of the page again, not the hinge. And what did I do with, there it is. So I want to give that a burnish. Real good. Get rid of any excess glue. So because the page was 8.5, to divide it into 3 was not that easy, and I wanted to make it somewhat easier. So these are going to pretty much meet at this pocket if we put them on right. I'm going to go ahead and corner round these just because I think it'll be a little bit easier. So on all 3, if you have the We Are Memory Keepers, I'm doing the 10 millimeter. Okay, so because they're not exactly 100%, you know what? I just feel like this needs just a little bit more of a trim. I wanted it to meet and it goes over just a hair. So I'm gonna take just a smidge off, like 1/16. Let's see if that does it. Yep, that's all it needed. So 1/16 off. I just like the way that lays better. And that's why you should always do a dry fit too, because once it's down, it's a lot harder to fix. Okay, so now because they're not 100% exactly 8.5 when we put it all together, I'm gonna go ahead and place the top and the bottom first, and then I'll put the third one in the center and be able to center it better. Okay, so we are gonna go all the way to the edge and to the bottom for this one. And it goes right to that pocket, so that's how I wanted it. Okay, so now we're gonna do the top one. We'll go all the way to the top and the edge. Okay. Oopsie. Get rid of any excess glue. Okay, so now for this one, you'll see there's going to be, we have to center it between the two. There's just a little bit of a gap, and that is totally fine. Okay. Just want to make sure there's the same distance between the top flap and the bottom one. Okay, and then whatever we put in the pocket should keep these flaps closed, okay? So the front of page 3, is that what we're on? Yep, the front of page 3. We're gonna take that 4.5 by 6 inch piece and let's just cut it at a diagonal from the 6 inch upper right to the bottom. So let me show you. So I have this, and I am going to score. So this is 6 inches, so I'll score one side at 5.5. See, it's going to end up being like this. Okay, so let's score at 1/2. Get the book out of the way. Oopsie. And then I'm going to turn it and score it a 1/2. So I will get this ready by cutting off that, cut off the square at an angle. And I'm going to go ahead and burnish this. And I'm going to still need to trim just a little bit off here. So the next one we're going to slide in. So when I do the 1/2 inch on the bottom, I'm actually going to cut that off. So let me score this at a 1/2. I'm going to turn it, score it at a 1/2. But I am going to cut the bottom 1/2 off so that it rests inside of the other piece and it doesn't get too bulky. Okay. And I will, maybe I want this one on this side so I can, so what's going to happen is, it doesn't matter either way I do it, I'm going to have to fold this to the back. So this will slide and come right inside of here, okay? So that will be our next pocket. So So I'm going to place the left-hand side first, line it up with the page, not the bottom of the hinge. I probably say the same thing 50 times, but just want to make sure. Bottom. Okay, let's give that a real good burnish. And then this one will slide. I'm going to trim just a hair off so it lines up just a little bit better. There we go. Okay. And so we don't need to put any glue on the bottom, just on that 1/2 inch. And we'll just rest that inside. And when I decorate it, I'll get that little piece covered so you won't even see it. Okay, so there's our angled pocket. Okay, we're gonna do the back of page 3 and the front of page 4. Let me get this organized here. Okay, so we're on the back of page 3. You'll need a piece that's 6 3/8 by 4 1/8. A piece that's 5 1/8 by 2 3/4. I'm sure you have your notebook handy so you can write all these down. And then 3 1/2 by 6 1/4. Okay, so what was I? You know what? Is this one for over here? Yep, that one goes over here. So these are the only 2 pieces I need. 6 3/8 by 4 1/8, and then the 5 1/8 by 2 3/4. The 6 3/8 piece will go across the top, and you're going to score it 1/2 on each end, and then that's it. And then this is going to become a pocket. So with the larger side across the top, score it 1/2 on each end. On the 2 3/4 inch side, score it 1/2. Let's do our regular pocket prep by mitering and cutting off the square on the corners at an angle. This one, we're not going to do any cutting. So let's just go ahead and burnish these pieces. I think because I'm using this for a mail book, rather than having a lot of flips and flaps, I'm thinking more on the lines of inserts and being able to just tuck things here and there. Like pictures, they might just throw some in there. So that's why I have pockets rather than expecting them to maybe glue everything. So this is going to be a belly band with a pocket. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere the pocket to the left-hand side. You can do whatever other side you want. Okay. And line that up. That good firm burnish. Look at this mess. And so we'll just center this on the page like so. And that will be all we do for that page. Again, you can eyeball it or you can measure out the center. I'm going to eyeball it. And because we did it a hair shorter, I'm just going to put it almost to the edge. That works for me because I don't want it to get in the way of the pages turning. Okay, so whatever paper we have left, we can turn them into mats and tuck those behind, and I'll probably try and find like a little paper clip or something so that it can protect them from falling out. Okay, front of page 4. So this is that 3.5 by 6 1/4 inch piece. We'll be using that over here. You'll need 2 that measure 5 3/8 by 2 1/4, and you can see that I did corner around those. I'll go over it again in a second. And then 2 pieces that are 5 7/8 by 8 1/2. Okay, so we trying to decide if I want to corner around these. No, I don't think so. Okay, so I'm going to score on both the 1/2 and the 5, not score, but burnish the 1/2 and the 5/8. We need a little bit of a gusset just to give us some room so that things lay nice. We didn't quite need 1/4 of an inch, so I just did 1/8. Okay, so you can see there's just a little bit of a gusset. Let's do the other one the same way. Burnish once, and then a second time. Now, because this goes from the top of the page to the bottom of the page, that's when we miter that little 1/2 inch a little bit so it doesn't stick over the page if it's just a hair off. We don't want to see it coming off our book. And I purposely made these a little bit not quite as wide so that they don't get in the way of one another. So when you miter, don't just do the 1/2 inch. Don't get into that 1/8 inch. I gotta throw some of this away. I can't stand it. Okay. There's those 2. The 5 3/8 by 2 1/4, you're going to place the 2 1/4 at the top and just score it 1/2. Like I said, I did corner round. I am going to miter these corners the 1/2 inch also. I just bought these scissors and they are so sharp. I love them. Do that with the other one, corner round. Trim that edge. Okay. And the last one we make into a pocket. So we're placing the 6 1/4 inch side at the top, and we're going to score it 1/2 on each end. So you can do 1/2, rotate it once, score it 1/2, rotate it one more time, score it 1/2. And let's prepare our pocket. So normally I use sticky notes when I'm putting the measurements on, just because it bothers me to write on the page, but I guess being it's going to be covered by paper anyway, it shouldn't be that big of a deal, but whew, I'm not used to that. Okay. So for this one, again, I want to erase that, but it's not going to be seen. We're going to put the 2 sides on first, okay? So this side and this side, and it doesn't make any difference as to how, if you want this side on top or this side, it doesn't make any difference. So let's go ahead, you glue them down just the same, whether you want the left on top or the right. We're just putting glue on, oopsie, I said just the 1/2 inch and I got a little on that 1/8. Okay. notice I left a little bit of a gap so it doesn't go all the way to the edge of our book, because I don't want it to get in the way when you're turning pages. Okay, we'll do the other side. This one goes all the way to the edge. Okay. Go ahead and keep this open, and we're going to place these little flaps on the inside so that if you wanted to put pictures in, they won't fall out. We'll place one at the top and one at the bottom. So just center it in between these two pages here. And I'm going all the way to the bottom of the page. But you want to make sure that it folds with not interfering with anything. And then we'll turn the book around and do the other side. So because these are under the page, they didn't need that 1/8 inch gusset. If these would have been on top, then these would have needed a 1/8. Okay, let's center that between these two. Go all the way to the top of your page. Okay, so I plan on having this page in, and then this one will be on the top, and then this is actually for a pocket on top of this page here. Okay, now you could make another one and put it here if you want. I just wanted to make sure that it laid nice, so I did not put one there. I think it's time to get some new glue. And I'm gonna, you could put it in the middle. I'm gonna go down to the bottom here. Okay. So that will open to the left and then to the right, and then you have room to put some things in without falling off. You could put something on the insides here. Again, if you want to do a pocket there, you could. And now the only thing we have to do is the back. Last page, and then time to decorate, which is the most fun. So you'll just need one piece that's 5 7/8 by 9. And I usually like to do an L pocket somewhere in my, or you know, an angled pocket somewhere in my book. So all you need to do is score it 8.5, or excuse me, I did it this way. Score it 1/2 with the 5 7/8 inches across the top. You score it 1/2. And then you're going to put the 9 inches at the top and score it 1/2. So you just have 2 scores. I have one on the right and one at the bottom. I'm going to angle this, or take off that corner, slice that, and this one. And now you get to decide how much you want to take off for your angle. So let me go ahead and fold this up. So I usually go up about 1.5 inches and over 1.5 inches. And all you have to do is put little tick marks and then put it in your cutter. So remember, it's going to be attached to our book. This is the closure side. So the 1.5 inch tick mark, or maybe I want 2. Maybe I'll do 2 inches. Tick mark there. And then I need to go 2 inches from the right hand side and put a tick. And then I'm going to place it in my cutter. Line up those two in the cutting channel. And then see if we like the look of that. Let me get an eraser. Oh, that looks like the writing from, I don't like, see, I should use pencil, not pen. I think it'll be able to be hidden unless I want to cut a little bit more off. So this will go like so. Maybe I'll go down, that's going to bother me. So I'm going to go to my original, or do I just want to go from corner to corner? No, I'm going to make it 1.5, just so I can get rid of that little bit of marking. That's going to bother me. Let's cut that again. Now I don't have to worry about it. Okay. And now we glue that in here. And I'm going to the bottom of the page, not the bottom of the hinge. Have you heard that one before? Okay. This is going to be such a cool book when it's done being decorated. My favorite part is doing the cover. And it used to be that was the most intimidating to me, and I did not like doing the cover, but now I love it. All right. Now, before I decorate, the only other thing I need to tell you is that you need to decide on your closure. So the book will go like this, okay, and you can see that you have room to fill some things in. So do you want a tie closure? Do you want 2 magnets? You kind of have to decide before you start covering the outside, so that if you need to do a ribbon closure, you would put that on before you put your pattern paper. I think I'm going to go with magnets this time. So I'm going to place 3 of the, I'll do 3 of these and put them right here. Okay. All right. I'm going to come back and show you what it looks like when I'm done decorating. And hopefully if you get one done, you can show us what it looks like on the Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations page on Facebook. And I would love to see how well you did yours and how different it'll look. Even if you use different paper, I just love to see what it looks like. All right. Thanks, guys.